from? I see who's joining. Can you write in the chat box where are you from? I would love to see where are you from. I'm broadcasting from Geneva. Well, anyways, while we are waiting for more guests to join, maybe I'll just quickly tell you about logistics for this event. I wanted to welcome you in our event, and I wanted to tell you that we have 3 speakers. Each of us will be speaking for 15 minutes, and after we will have 15 minutes Q&A. So the whole event will take around 1 hour. We can't see you, we can't hear you, so whenever you would like to say something, please use chat. But when we will have, when you would like to ask a question that we will use for Q&A, please use Q&A box, and there will be also a poll. So then it will pop out on your screen, and you can just you can just press the button. So I see Ecuador, I see Zurich. Ecuador, wow. And who else do we see? Okay, I see it's quite a lot of people now, so maybe we'll start the event. As you know, our subject is how to reveal your sustainable self. We'll be tackling sustainability from different angles, and our first speaker is Monica Bahna. Welcome, Monica, and I give you the voice.
Thank you so much. I was wondering if you should wait like 1 minute or so before we actually get into it. What do you guys think?
Maybe we can give it like 30 more seconds or something, because there's still people coming in.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually think that we can start.
Yeah?
All right.
Okay, are you guys ready? We are ready. We are ready.
Wonderful. So we are muting me and Judith and Monica. Welcome.
I'm on position. Thank you so much. I will start sharing my screen now, hopefully without. Am I full screen? Yeah? Okay. So thank you all for being here. It's truly an honor to talk about sustainability. And I know that you maybe ditched Netflix for this, so we'll make it worth your while. Honestly, just kudos to us for being here to care about the people and the planet, because this is what we're all going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about sustainability as a lifestyle and how can we incorporate sustainable values into what we do as consumers, as employees, or even as business owners. My headline writes, "We are what we buy," because that's my main focus. So I'll be talking about cultural sustainability because this is what I do for a living. And as a researcher, this is what I am, you know, I could talk about it day and night, and this is what I'm here for. I feel it's a tremendous opportunity to educate ourselves, to learn more about how can we be sustainable. And cultural sustainability is just a pillar of sustainable development in general. It's one that we don't hear enough speaking of. So I research it as a social psychologist. I also teach it to my MA student, and it's also part of my PhD on online reputation management because it's about both people and businesses. And so it's not as bad as it sounds. Although we are busy all the time, it's really nice to, you know, get all that knowledge from the field and then apply it into my business, where we develop lifestyle brands that embody these environmental and social values. And as you see from the next speaker, this is really the biggest investment a business can do right now. So let's start with my favorite definition on sustainability, and it's meeting our present needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And you see that I highlighted, well, I underlined the word needs because highlighters are not sustainable, because it's central to our discussion. We'll be talking about what our needs are and how can we fulfill them through our buying behaviors now, or in, in this new paradigm of sustainability. And so just to give you a little context, like most people associate in their mind sustainability with environmental conservation, and that's true. And it's the main pillar, it's ecology. But in the beginning, sustainability was founded on 3 pillars: ecology, economics, and politics. From 2015, UNESCO added culture to their 4-pillar framework because they realized that culture is fundamental to actually creating these changes in the other fields. And you can learn more about it on the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And they've also included it in the SDGs. So they are now talking about quality education, sustainable cities, and what we'll be talking in depth about, sustainable consumption and production patterns. So let's dive in. Why it is important, like why cultural sustainability? Because culture is who we are and what shapes our identity. And culture is essential to meeting our core human needs. It's a trigger for evolution, and it's also a condition for survival. And for most of human history, our survival depended on enduring bond of interdependence with one another and with the earth. And we evolved by creating socio-cultural environments such as families and cities and countries, and until further notice from Elon Musk, the earth. So this is why in meeting our needs, we were constantly shaping the environment, and the environment was shaping us, and it still is. So let's start with how is the environment shaping us. Zooming in on cultural sustainability, which I consider being the currency in this trade. And here we go. So let's just think about it for a moment. Think about the environment you grew up in, the culture of your region, your ethnicity, religion, even the education you received. All these things, a part of your environment, shape your beliefs. And those beliefs are necessary because they give meaning to the objective realities around you. We couldn't make a sense of the world if we wouldn't have beliefs. What happens is that once we have these beliefs, it's really hard to unlearn them, because being that we are optimized human beings, we automatically transform these beliefs into attitudes and behavior. And I'm talking so much about beliefs because they are the cornerstone of who we are and how we see the world. They are the reason you think what you think. They are the reason you feel what you feel. And they are the reason you have those certain needs that you have. And as I was saying, we are human. We don't have to see a snake to know that it's dangerous, right? From our beliefs, our mind quickly goes to behaving. We think, we feel, we act. And I know it's really theoretical, so let me give you an example using a cute puppy. And I'm gonna give you 2 scenarios. The one, it's when your beliefs around puppies are that puppies are cute. And so on affective level, you like dogs, you even love dogs. And so what your behavior will be, you will pet them, right? Let's have another scenario where a dog beat you, and now you think dogs are dangerous, hence the affective level is you feel fear, and then the behavior is you run. I'm not saying you should, but that's what you do. And what's interesting is that people will see you either petting a dog or running from it, right? Because they don't have access to what you feel or think, but they see your behavior. And that's interesting in our discussion because behavior is what people see. We are what we do, not what we say or what we feel. And so moving forward, this is how the environments are shaping who we are, through these beliefs and the shortcuts we take based on them. Now, these shortcuts are always nudged to accommodate our needs because our needs are constantly changing, right? A few years ago, we didn't have smartphone. A few years back, we didn't have a lot of things, and all of our needs are changing. And the thing is that they are not always changing because we want them to, but because other forces, external forces, are changing them for us. Take, for example, advertising and its huge push on changing our beliefs so they can trigger behaviors. Now you know that it's that ladder. The good news is that we can shape the environment as well. We can be in control of our beliefs and of the nudges we receive, because when we are aware of them, we can shape the environment in return. How can we shape the environment? I'm only going back a few decades. Let's talk global industrialization, globalization, and what we have now, you know, information capitalism or even surveillance capitalism, and the entangling of their old consumerism. Now, you might know that as humans, we have needs, right? We have needs and wants and desires, and we always fighting to fulfill them. And we have survival needs and we have social needs. And these social needs are related to our self-identities, how we present ourselves to the communities we evolved in. This is why I began with the communities. And now think about these needs, right? Basic needs, hunger. We don't go fishing anymore. We don't go hunting anymore. Everything is one click apart. And that's because we've evolved, and now we're fulfilling our needs, trading currency, trading money, because signaling what our needs and wants are, the market responds by creating products and services. And this is how, as consumers, we shape the environment through the needs we have. It's more of an input-output relationship. So on the one hand, there are your needs and wants. There's the money you trade, and then you receive the products and services. Easy, not easy. I hope it's easy to understand so far, because that's where it gets interesting, right? Houston, we do have a problem, and the problem is with our needs. The problem is that so far the input is consists of consumerism-driven needs, and the output, it's the profit-oriented fast markets. Now, what we propose tonight are sustainability-driven needs, and the output automatically becomes people and planet-oriented economies. So the question that we should ask ourselves is, who is governing our beliefs? Who has control over the nature of our needs and desires? Who has control over our buying behaviors, right? So is it corporate advertising that's using your beliefs to nudge your behavior for their own profits? Or is it conscious sustainability, a value you've chosen? Now, that's the thing with sustainability, and how are you choosing this value? Because it's so intangible, it's hard to grasp, right? So I'm gonna ask you to think about sustainability like you think about creativity or intelligence. You cannot touch or feel another person's intelligence, right? But you can assess it and even measure it based on a few criteria, such as how they solve problems compared to others. And the same thing happens with sustainability. It's intangible, but we do have now the framework to assess it, to evaluate it, and to act on it. And it's the same framework I was talking about: beliefs, attitudes, behaviors. Now, it's all really theoretical, so let's take it back to examples. And I've taken a shirt because this is what Judith will be talking about. And I'm going to take this example, like, how are you buying a shirt from the consumerism approach? You first think about your need. It's a social convention to wear a shirt, right? It would be weird to walk around naked. So there's that. It's that easy. But then you have the affective, you know, the emotions. You have to like the design. It's something that represents you. And then you are going to buy it. The problem with consumerism is that we often just like something and then automatically buy it. We don't even think about our needs. Do I need that shirt? What do I need it for? We jump into the emotional, and I'm not saying it's to our fault, because advertising, especially online advertising, is so strong on us that it gets us to our buying behaviors. But now what happens on this sustainability approach, same shirt example, you think it's the same social convention. It's weird to walk around naked. You need a shirt. Now, you just add a little extra at the end. I need a shirt without harming the people and the planet. And that's your new belief. And now on the affective level, your emotions, your likes and dislikes, of course, you still need to like the design. Of course, it still represents you. It's part of your social need. It's part of your self-identity. It's really okay to be that way. We're human. But then when you add this without harming the people and the planet to it, your behavior change. And you're not just buying a shirt, you're doing good. And so when we think about this approach of think, feel, buy, sustainability, it's different. It's research, understand, do good. That's the new framework we should all operate in. And so research certified organizations, research supply chains, research ethical practices, research and do everything you must do to understand what are you doing to do good. And so for me, and I hope that by the end of this talk for you too, this is the main difference between consumerism and thought leadership. It's about buying versus doing good. And it's such a huge difference, and it's just close to my heart to even speak about it, because it's Earth, moon distance in terms of our impact on this Earth. And what happens is, and I'll let Judith talk about it, it's that when the beliefs don't align with our behaviors, we get this dissonance. It's called dissonance, and that's what leads to greenwashing, when companies often just say what they'll do, but they don't behave accordingly, right? But now we know, we've gotten smarter. Now we know that you actually have to behave a certain way, not just say or feel or think the way you do, because people can't see anything unless it's behavior. Always remember the cute puppy. And now let's have a quick quiz around us. Are your buying behavior reflective of your beliefs? Do you say you love nature, but then find yourself clicking on fast fashion websites? Do you love animals, but still use cruelty makeup products or beauty products? Do you say you love oceans, but still buy or support companies that still to this day sell single-use plastic? Now, can you see the difference? When your beliefs are centered and you're aware of them, you must stand by them in your behavior. And so this is why what we believe becomes what we feel and becomes what we do. And this is how we are what we buy. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was valuable for you. I'm leaving you in a company of a good book that I recommend. There's also this quote that I love so much. Remember the impact that your dollar has in the world. That's the most powerful tool you have to show who you are. And you know, if you still want to talk about cultural sustainability anymore, like contact me anytime, keep in touch, give the words to my colleague, and thank you again for being here. Judith, Junke, for you. Thank you. I'm just gonna stop sharing right now. I'm back.
All right, I think you can already hear me, and now you can see the slides here, but before I'm gonna be talking about what you can see right now that you've learned a lot about how your behavior is driven, sort of like all of a sudden by what you think and how you feel, we're gonna get some interaction here from your side. So in a couple of seconds, you'll be seeing a little poll coming in. There's 3 different options for you, and I absolutely invite you to click one of them. It's about your purchasing behavior. And a couple of seconds later, we're going to see the result. And the good point about it, you can only win. And how that is, I'll tell you when we see the results. So please click one of the options that is most close to what you feel connected to, where you think, okay, this is where I am at regarding your purchasing behavior. And we're just going to wait a couple of seconds. and see what all the results will be. And then we can see how far you've come, and maybe you're still processing all the great information Monica gave to you about how your cultural background has an impact on your beliefs, and thus has an impact on how you act and how you buy. So let's see how the results are coming in here. Amazing. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I see 14% being here for the first time to inform yourself. Congratulations, because this is amazing. You're taking a great step. Then we have 24%. I have thought about buying fair fashion, which is also amazing because you're already engaged with the topic. So maybe your next step is next time you buy something, research on the brand and you support someone who's doing sustainable fashion creation. And then there's a whoa amount of 62% that say I have bought one or more fair fashion items. So amazing. I see you're absolutely engaged already. And I love that we have this diverse group here. So thank you for your honesty and thank you for sharing. And now we're gonna go into part 2 about how to reveal your sustainable self. It's you are what you do and your action matters. So we're gonna zoom into the fashion industry a little bit. And I'll take you behind the scenes, so to say, and hopefully leave you with lots of whys to say why sustainable approaches are the only solution for the future. So my name is Judith Junke, and on the one hand, I'm the owner and the founder of UNJJ, which is a fair fashion label and brand creating female business shirts like the one I'm wearing or you can see in the picture. And this is my way to empower business women because I feel like every businesswoman deserves an outfit that underlines her competence and that she can feel amazing in, and which at the same time is doing good for the planet and for working conditions of the people. And on the other hand, I'm an empowerment coach. I do coachings one-on-one. I have my own workshops, a seminar, and lots of things to put more empowerment to the world, to men and women, to make them all stand up, and let's create this world in a more positive way together. So let's dive into this, and I'll walk you through by hashtags here. And the first hashtag is the textile industry, because you might question you, or you may have the question, why is this textile industry topic growing, and why are you keep hearing more and more about this? So starting with some pictures, you see the top right one is a manufacturing site somewhere in Pakistan. And the one on the bottom is the
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, Judith, but I don't think we see your presentation.
Oh, is that
double check?
Okay, interesting. I'm gonna just start that again. But thank you for letting me know, because that would have been interesting. Okay, so can you see now? Great, thank you. For some reason, it just didn't come over the first time. Very good, but you've listened to me. Now you see how I look like on the picture. And I'm just gonna be here. Like I said, I'm gonna walk you through this by hashtags. The first one being the textile industry. And on the right-hand corner, you see the production in Pakistan. In the bottom picture, you can see the production of our shirts in the north of Portugal. And both pictures are current pictures. So this is basically how the majority of your clothes, no matter what kind of clothes, is made still today. Even though the pictures may look like it's 20, 50, 80 years ago. And in these decades, not a lot of things in these manufacturing processes have changed. So why is it important to talk about this? And why is it relevant to take action in your consumption behavior when you buy clothes? Why does it have an impact on the world? Well, I'll give you two figures to start with. The first one is 635 billion euro. This is the estimated value of the whole textile industry in 2020. And now with the world being in the situation it is, it might be a bit less, but still it's a huge industry. And to give you a relation to that figure, this is almost the same number as the 5 biggest car brands have in the world, like the BMW, the General Motors, all the big brands you know. So the top 5 brands account for the same industry value globally as the textile industry, meaning it's super relevant, it's super huge. the next thing is that 75 to 80% of people employed in this industry are women. So when we keep talking about female empowerment, this is where you can make a difference. When you start buying sustainably, you automatically support women globally. And I want to add 2 more figures. Talking about value is great, but in this case, talking about volume also is super important. You see 155 million items down here. And this is the amount of items that were produced globally last year. And the relevant number or information is to know that versus 15 years ago, this number of items annually produced has doubled. So that means, think about it, our global population, did it double in the past 15 years? It didn't. So is it possible that there is such an increased demand? It's not. Thus, this is the reason why we talk and have news articles about overproduction. Already now, Africa is closed for secondhand clothing. So maybe 10 years ago, you knew when you know, stuff you don't wear anymore, you bring it to some of the organizations that do secondhand clothing and they redistribute it. And it gave you a good feeling back then, knowing that someone else in another country, wherever that is, and lots of times it was in Africa, it made you feel good maybe to know that someone else still will use your items that you gave away. I can tell you, since 2 years ago, the whole African continent is closed. They're not taking in any more secondhand clothing because also their demand is covered. Just to give you a perspective of how much overproduction in the world we have, there's more than enough. And the 3 main players in this game, you can see here, is Nike, then the Louis Vuitton Hennessy Moet group, and then Inditex, which you might not know the name of, but this is the mother company of, for example, Zara, Pull&Bear, gosh, what's the name? All the bigger fast fashion brands that you know. And this other aspect here is this: if you have these 3 global ones that are huge, they only account for like 120 billion out of the 635, which gives you an indication about how diverse this industry is and how many players are there. So if you make a choice to that niche that is already working sustainably, then this is a great moving of the needle in a great, nicer direction. So now we know the textile industry is huge, it's relevant, and it's about female empowerment also. So the next hashtag I want to walk you through is the hashtag discrepancy. And now we're going to dive a little bit in the supply chain topic, because there's a huge discrepancy between the beginning and the end of the supply chain in the production part in general. So on the pictures that you see right now, it doesn't start obviously with producing the shirts or the t-shirts, the products in the end that you will buy, but there's so many steps before that. On the top part, you see harvesting of cotton, and on the picture in the left, this is in Morocco. This is how, in many cases, fabrics are dyed. So you see people working with their bare hands, and even in the dyeing processes, this is all chemicals. The guy is not wearing any gloves or any protection. So, and yes, to give you the truth, there is some factories in the world in some countries that have more automation. And for example, cotton harvesting in the US is done partly by machines, but still, because the majority of all these industries is not located in industry countries, the huge majority of this is taking place with lots and lots of manual work and lots of really, really unsafe working conditions, and lots of times also connected to very, very low wages. So lots of people cannot even live on it. So we have this state of the supply chain at the very start, which in a lot of places looks like decades ago, and no innovation and no investment goes there. And on the other hand of the supply chain, that is the one that you usually see, because when you start to dig and see, oh, I need new shoes or a new jacket or a new t-shirt, then you will see things like this. You find a nice website where you can customize things. You find lots of analytic tools. This is what you don't see, but this is what the brands see, the businesses that sell. So it's lots of investment. Artificial intelligence is used to make the algorithm work even harder on meeting you and just targeting you on the ads and all this. So lots of innovation and lots of investment, millions, goes on the right-hand side of the supply chain where you are, because you are the ones that the brands want to sell to. And on the left-hand side, on the start, is where everyone is trying to squeeze out the next penny just to get more margin. And this is what is just so wrong. This is the main reason why this industry, the model that they've been working in, the business model for decades now, is collapsing. It's just not functioning anymore, because the left-hand side, the Switon, has reached a point where you can't squeeze anymore. You just can't. And this is causing lots of trouble. So moving on to the next hashtag is called need for speed. And I just put two big fast fashion chains in the middle. And what does need for speed mean here? This is also what, like Monica has said, when you see ads and you're targeted lots of times to buy new things, because we have this high level of overproduction and offer in the market, they want to sell. And why is there so much offer? Zara and H&M both produce 16 or 20 collections per year. So you have every couple of weeks, you have new styles coming in and ads that will reach you telling you you need to buy something new, because otherwise you're not in style anymore, you don't belong to your social peers, you're not worthy enough, you're not beautiful enough, you're not in the trend and whatnot, you know, all the marketing messages. And this speed hasn't been here 10 to 15 years ago. This explains this volume numbers that you saw on the first page. And speed here means, so Zara is known for being the fastest by far. They take from new designs to having clothes on the retail shelf 6 weeks, which is insane. And H&M is splitting a little bit more depending on the collection and the countries. They go from a few weeks to 6 months, which still is super fast. And they're basically just launching. And just last week, I heard another figure that said each collection that's launched in general across all the fast fashion brands, only 60% is really sold at full price. Another 20% is always sold on discount. And another 20% is discarded, always, each of the collections. So this is insane. And maybe you know that picture. I didn't put a hashtag, but it would be Rana Plaza. And because of all that you've seen, and this industry has started to collapse years ago, bit by bit, but nobody saw it because it's lacking transparency. And transparency is something that started to begin when this happened. And this is the Rana Plaza building in Bangladesh that collapsed 2013 in April, burying dead more than 1,000 people and leaving more than 2,000 injured. And on the majority of the floors here were manufacturing sites for textile. And even the day before the building collapsed, there was a warning because there were already cracks in the building, and people said, please do not enter the building anymore because there's a high risk of it collapsing. And all the manufacturing owners, they forced their workforce to come, and they threatened them by losing their jobs and never getting it again. So this is why over 90% of all the workers were in the building when it collapsed, thus resulting in this high amount of dead people and injured people. And only when people started to find the living ones in there, it became evident which brands were producing here, because they find all the brand text that you have in the clothes. And here it became evident that not only the super cheap fast fashion brands, like you may know Primark, who's going international and super cheap, but also high price luxury brands were producing here. So squeezing out the last penny, and this set an end to it. As a result of this, the Fashion Revolution organization was founded, and they are ever since then pushing this movement that you might have seen, Who Made My Clothes? So every year in April, there's a full week with marketing attention on it, but it's running whole year round and global. And this is, if you want to do more research on this, they have lots of surveys creating more and more transparency. And luckily, over the years, more and more companies and brands are joining, bringing transparency to where they produce, who they work with, and just bringing light to the supply chains also for consumers. So ending up with the behind the scenes, and then leading you to what can you do then? So what can you do now with all this maybe new information or freshed up information? I have 7 more reasons to give you impacts of this industry. Topics that we touched upon and Monica has touched upon as just a couple of facts based all from the fashionrevolution.org page. So if you want more of this, please just go over there. This one's just, I'm going to read them, is paying sweatshop workers in apparel supply chains a living wage would result only in a price increase 2 to 7% for you as a consumer. So this is minimum impact for you, but will change lives on the other hand. Then, globally, nearly 1 in 3 female garment workers experiences sexual harassment in their workplaces. Talking about female empowerment, not only giving them a living wage, but human rights are widely violated in this industry. Then we can say another aspect, buying one new white cotton shirt produces the same emissions as driving a car for 35 miles. So this is the ecological aspect of it. Then additionally, you can say if the number of times a garment is worn were doubled, the greenhouse gas emission over its lifetime would be almost half of it lower. And the number for Germany last year was the average times an item was worn here before it was discarded was 6, which is insane. So clothes are made to last, or they should be made to last longer, and not just be made for the next spring season or something. And here we got some more statements about the workers. Over 90% of the workers in the global garment industry have no possibility to negotiate their wages or conditions. And it's super sad sometimes if you dig in the reports. There's more and more things coming on the internet because transparency has increased over the past 3 years. So if you do research, there's lots of things to educate yourself about. And then also here, the gender wage gap that we globally have in general across all industries. Here, sometimes it's even tougher because the real extent of the gap is particularly in the developing countries, where lots of informal self-employment, you know, there's no contracting and there's no guidelines on what kind of wages they are paid, and sometimes people don't even get paid at all. Another aspect, the second-hand clothing resale has grown 20 times faster than the retail apparel market over the past 3 years, which is another thing that is like, it's a second industry developing next to the first industry, so to say. It's lots of things that are changing. So, what can you do now? And Izabela will give you a couple of more great ideas and inspirations in a minute. So I'm just going to be brief here. Maybe you know this from social, the hierarchy of needs. Before you buy something, like Monica has said, you know, it's the social and the sustainability aspect in your mind. You think before you buy and you check on what you got and then see which kind of the options to borrow or swap something. There's swapping parties, and I bet it's also in your city if you're in a bigger city. You can thrift something if you have the ability, make something, and of course you can buy something. And if you buy something, this is just a brief overview. This is no brands, this is all marketplaces. And the presentation will be later on YouTube, so you can dive into that a little bit later. There's one thing I want to point out, which is the athletic shop here, because what I find particularly cool about them, they have a cooperation with the app TipMe. And that means every time you buy something on their website, you can add 1, 2, or 3 euro, and those go directly as a tip to the person who made the garment and the clothes. So this is pretty cool, and something that is super innovative and new. And in the end, I would love to give you a little insight in what I do. It's 2 things with the shirts. The one is what I do in supply chain. Our shirts are fully made in Europe, so the production and all the parts except the fabric come all from Portugal. The production also is certified, so they take good care of their people. I visited them several times, like you'd see in the picture here. I was even allowed to take videos, photos, and share everything. They just gave all the information, and they were just happy to be seen and to be recognized and to be appreciated for their work. The fabrics I source from Austria. It's 100% organic cotton with 2 certifications really proving how they take good care about it. And the other aspect, I didn't only think about the production and the materials, but also, since it's e-commerce, how are things delivered to you? When you order something from us, you'll receive it in a repack that you see here in the yellow package. So this is eliminating the packaging waste, because when you take out your shirt, you can just fold it back and it has a little lash on it. The postage is already paid and an address to send it back to the warehouse if you just put it in any mailbox that you find around your corner. So this is a circular economy approach that we have here, and also The product packaging right here is also fully made from recycled materials. So we don't use any of the poly bags, no plastic, to keep this whole sustainability aspect from A to Z. And before I hand over to Izabela and more details in recommendations from her really high quality portfolio of brands and products that she has experiences from, the only thing I would love to leave you with is to let you know your action matters, and please be curious to discover something new and take a chance on something. And if you feel like you want to get in contact with me, this is my details either for the shirts, or if you're interested in anything on the coaching part, just feel free to contact me or hit me up on social. So Izabela, your take, and I'm super curious about the great brands and products that you will share now.
Thank you so much, Judith. That was really extremely interesting presentation. Before I start, I just would like you all write some questions to the Q&A box when you have questions to Judith or Monica. And now I will start with my presentation. Let me see if that is working. Can you see? Yes, perfect. So we often meet people who are fashion lovers like me. We also meet people who just couldn't care about fashion at all. Or we meet people who just find one pair of trousers and they buy 10 of them so they will last for 10 years. So this is fascinating about fashion, that everyone wears it, everyone needs clothes, so we are all connected, and it doesn't matter what your relationship to fashion is, you will use it. And right now I would like to see from you, what do you think fashion is for you? Please write in the chat box, what is fashion? I would love to see what you think about that. The only thing is I just don't know if I can see the chat box right now. So I think it will not be working for me because I cannot see chat box during sharing screen. So I'm very sorry.
I can say a few words because
okay, perfect. Thank
like
you.
Aline said seasonality, Rosaura, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, said fashion is to look trendy. Vera said that it's a way to express her personality.
Wonderful. So I also think that fashion is something we consider sexy, exclusive, form of a dream, identity. So that's our imagination about fashion. And from the other hand side, what is sustainability? Could you also write that in the chat box? And if I could ask you, Monica, to read what are our members thinking about sustainability, like just first thing that comes to your mind, just one word. What is it for you?
Oh, Rosaura just added something. Fashion is sometimes lack of self-esteem. Gina said fashion is art we interact with. And Paupa said that it's made to last. I think that refers to sustainability.
Yes, yes. So when it comes to sustainability, yes, it's something that is made to last. It's about care, it's about slowness, it's a responsibility. So as you can see, these are two different concepts. But in my presentation, I will try to show you how we can combine these two concepts and just have a great, sustainable, and beautiful wardrobe. Dear members, as you probably, some of you know, my name is Izabela Switon Kulinska, and I am ambassador from Geneva. I am with Small World since nearly 3 years. I started my journey with fashion when I was 15 years old and started to work as a model. It makes 23 years right now in the fashion field for me. I also had my sustainable fashion brand, Desire Fashion. I have currently an agency, Defile Events, where I produce fashion shows and fashion events. I mostly work with local and sustainable brands. I'm also fashion editor, fashion blogger, content creator, journalist. I am editor and fashion week insider for Brand Looks magazine, which is sustainable looks magazine. And currently I'm also studying sustainable fashion from Copenhagen Institute. And next week, for the first time for me, I'm going to Copenhagen Fashion Week, which is known as a Sustainable Fashion Week. So that's short information about me. And now I would like to tell you some sustainable wardrobe tips that you can implement very soon to make the shift to say more sustainable, because as we had the poll, I already know that you all are fully aware about conscious fashion. So some of these points are self-explanatory and some I will discuss further through my presentation. So buy timeless pieces, buy versatile, buy less, quality versus quantity. Treat your clothes with love so they will last longer. Become part of second-hand cycle. Buy and sell. Rent clothing. Give new life to some old pieces in your wardrobe. Shift from fast fashion to slow fashion. Buy from sustainable brands that care about people and the environment. This is something you will have to research, and I can help you to choose some brands as well. I would like to start with rental. So for rental is really amazing way, simple way to wear fashionable clothes without buying them and owning them. And very often we have just one occasion and we know that the dress will be worn just once. It's just really a shame that then it stays in our cupboard for years. So by renting, you are really making something good, because you can wear new fashionable gowns every time you go for a nice event. Before, rental was very popular for more weddings or big events, but now there's a change. I see that women are renting clothes for smaller events, even for dinner or fashion weeks, because they want to have some nice year dress that they couldn't really afford to have. So this is really beautiful way to allow yourself to wear something great. You can also rent your own closet, and this is great idea to have really like a cash flow for that you get from renting your own clothes to spend on renting something else new, and it really helps to not have unnecessary purchases. To find platforms like that, it's best when you search in your area online. In Switzerland, we have in Geneva, for example, La Garde-Robe. It's a brand that has different brands, English designer, French, Italian, and more affordable, or some high fashion bags and shoes. So it's really great. We also have, for example, Uptown, Downtown Geneva that I work with a lot, because they also have brands you can rent, like Zahir Murad or Elisa, just wonderful designs, high-end designs. And so this is really great concept. Second, vintage luxury consignments. We all have this misconception that when we think about secondhand, that it's something old, maybe smelly, maybe something not so nice. And I must say that this is far from the truth when you think about these kind of places. There are great platforms online where you can buy secondhand, very beautiful designer items, or in very good conditions. You can search, for example, let's say Dior by the brand, or you want to have a Chanel handbag, you can get a vintage or used. And this is the best way to have sustainable wardrobe when you buy something already used. For that, there's a lot of platforms available. For example, Vestiaire Collective, or in Switzerland, we have My Private Dressing that is very popular, or Uptown Downtown Geneva that I already mentioned. So that's really a great way, and you can also sell for that. So you can again create this nice circle that when you buy something and you already think that maybe I will not wear it, you can give it back so someone else can love this item, because that's what we want. Yes, we want to love and be happy with what we are wearing. Buy consciously. By that I mean you have to be aware about sustainability, all the subject that Monica and Judith was saying, because when you are aware of what is happening in the fast fashion industry, then you really want to be making the right decisions with your purchases. I will speak a little bit about fast fashion versus slow fashion, because I think it's very important to understand it. When Judy was speaking a lot about fashion, I will also say alternative. What is slow fashion brand? What are slow fashion brand doing? So as you know, fast fashion describes clothing that is cheaply made and intend to have very short life cycle. Sustainable fashion, ethical fashion, slow fashion, on the other hand, is something opposite. They take into account the full life cycle of the product. So from the design, production, retail, but it also takes into account everyone who is involved. So we speak about workers, we speak about communities, environment, and a customer, because we are also part of sustainable process of fashion. As you can see, this whole life cycle is very complex, and not many brands are, and it's very difficult for brands to be 100% sustainable. There's a lot of challenges that these brands are facing. Some of them already Judith discussed, but I will just briefly go for them. So there's water usage. What are sustainable brands trying to do? They really try to cut the water usage in their production. Hazardous chemicals to produce any kind of items and fabrics. There is a huge amount of chemicals and pesticides used. So for slow fashion brand, they try to use less, they try to cut on chemicals and pesticides. They try to reuse the fabrics, they do, and they try to create new fabrics just so that won't be affecting, because this is affecting not only workers, but the environment, wildlife, and also customers when this is on our clothes. Fast fashion brands, they are focused on short life cycle. And this is a huge challenge for a slow fashion brand, because they want people to buy less, but for longer. And in the mindset, the behavior of people is to buy fast and a lot. So this is something that has to change. There is a huge waste of clothing. As Judy was saying, it's incredible. So slow fashion brand, they really want to try to find ways how there will be less waste. They don't want to produce a lot and put it on sales and then it goes back somewhere and it's stocked. So this is not the idea of sustainable brands. They really try to avoid so much waste. Judith was speaking about horrible conditions of workers in the fast fashion business. Most of the slow fashion brands, they try to produce locally. So mostly, when we speak about Europe, it's done in Europe. When people are working in the proper conditions, they also are have a minimum wage plus. So it's all done in a proper way. As I mentioned before, agriculture is heavily influenced by fast fashion. So slow fashion is really thinking about the planet, thinking about water, thinking about the ground, the wildlife, the future of planet. And to do that, it's really not so easy. They're trying to find out new fabrics. They try to grow organic cotton. They try to work with recycled fabrics. So, for example, to create fabrics out of recycled bottles, plastic bottles, or coffee beans, or there is a fiber called a tencel that is really good, safe for workers and customers. There is less waste with the production used for that fabric. So there are as you see, there is a lot of different challenges that brands are facing in order to create beautiful slow fashion design for us. That's why it is normal that this kind of clothing cannot be so cheap, because it's not possible to create beautiful slow fashion design for $5 like fast fashion can. Now I would like to tell you some examples from the brands that I either work with or I just like, and they're all like brands that I deeply believe in. There is a concept, upcycle, recycle. I think a lot of you heard about recycle. Upcycle is not so popular yet. So it's something that when there is a recycled product, with upcycle, you're doing something nicer, better with it. There is an example from a brand that is created in Geneva. It's called Thalys. They created this Forever Thalys program. So when you buy cashmere jumper from them, you can always return it after a while when it's already destroyed, or you just feel like you would like to have something else, or you're not wearing it. And then they will make a nice cashmere beanie for you. After this, they can also take the fabrics from the jumper and they can either create new jumper or more beanies, and you can return it. So there's a beautiful circular economy going on, and you always get some products from Thalys. Throughout my sustainable fashion studies, I've learned that about this brand. It's Mad Jeans. They have amazing concept of renting, leasing jeans. First, they have amazing designs, good quality, so it's really great. So what we do, you have a subscription. It's around 29 euros. And after every month, you pay 7 euros like a fee, and you have jeans for 1 year. And after a year, you can either keep the jeans and just pay some difference, or you can return them and get a new one. So when they get the old ones, they usually either make a new one out of them, or if they're super destroyed, they will shred them and create another fabric out of it to make another jeans. So this is a great example, and I personally love this brand and this concept. As I was mentioning, it's not possible to create sustainable, cheap fashion. I will start with high-end brands and just give you some example as well, or more affordable. I'm starting with Nanushka. Nanushka is a brand that currently is really extremely trending. It's all over. Everyone, all sustainable fashion bloggers, they want to wear it, including me. They're Hungarian brands. They make their clothes in Hungary, and they produce clothes for men and women. Their designs are beautiful. They are more on a bohemian, very spiritual kind of trend. Everything is extremely beautiful, and they use organic or recycled materials only. And right now they created a capsule collection for Net-a-Porter, and you can buy it online. I really encourage you to have a look at their designs. They're really stunning. I do not have to introduce Stella McCartney name because obviously everyone knows her. However, not everyone is aware of the fact that she is really a pioneer when it comes to sustainability. Since a few years now, her and her team were working on implementing great processes, sustainable processes, and to create state-of-the-art new fabrics that will be sustainable. She's producing absolutely everything from sportswear to evening gala. And this year, it was actually, her name was trending so much because when Joaquin Phoenix won his Golden Globe Award, he was wearing Stella McCartney's tuxedo, and he wanted to support the planet and to make a statement about sustainable fashion. And he said he's going to be wearing the same tuxedo to all fashion awards events, and I think he wore it within a short time to 8 or 11 events. And I must say, I do adore him. Another brand on in a luxury segment of sustainability is Mother of Paris. It's an English brand. Their hashtag is Fashion for Future, and this brand is really striving for transparency. What they're doing is not like most of the sustainable brand where they have just a section sustainability and they write in general about sustainability approach. Each item that you have a look at, and I showed you an example, a first thing that came to my mind, you can trace it exactly. So you see, for example, this tunic, you can see it's made from natural fibers, organic, traced from field to final, low carbon footprint, responsible use of water. So you really, each item, you know what you're buying, you know exactly what is it made from. So for me, it makes a huge difference, and I absolutely love this transparency that they have. Brand that is currently very fashionable, has a Copenhagen background, by Melan Birger. Her designs are also available now on the Zalando eco-conscious section, but also on Net-a-Porter. Her designs are always with the use of luxury, but organic or recycled materials. She's using very good quality materials. I have few dresses from her. They're really amazing quality. Her jeans are having all certificates that are very difficult to get, and she works with accessories as well, and using vegan leather. Brand that is actually very close to me. I have organized fashion show for them last year with a small work as well. It's Apparel. This brand actually came to existence because the lady who owns it, she said she wanted to create something made with only she makes material with recycled bottles or fair skin, so everything is recycled. And all her clothes are made that they don't need dry cleaning and they don't need to be ironed. So there is like nothing, we don't have to spend money on dry cleaning. And she actually, during the Copenhagen Summit, Sustainable Summit last year, they did a test. They took few models with the brand new dresses and models with dresses that they were washed 30 times in a washing machine during the summit. And people had to choose find the difference, which one were new and washed. People couldn't find it. So this is really great, and this brand is affordable, and I really recommend it. The last one, because we don't have so much time, I just wanted to give an example of one Italian brand that are very close to me. I have interviewed founders and creative designers. It's Eleventi. Eleventi is a brand from Milano. It was founded in 2007, and what they do, they only use Italian fabrics, and they work with local workshops. They are they're always supporting different charities. They're really doing great works when it comes to design, and they're mostly specialized in men, but they also have a women collection. Because we don't have much time, I will have to finish my presentation, and I would like to just tell you that I don't expect you after this presentation just to only buy everything sustainable right now and completely change your behavior. But what I would be already super happy with is just when you will be making next purchase, if you will do it consciously, if you just ask yourself, do I need it? Where is it made? Who made it? Will I wear it more than once? Maybe there's another option. Maybe I just don't need that clothes. And I just want to know, how will you feel when you will make this conscious decision? And this will make me very happy. And if you would like to have more examples of brands that make sustainable and beautiful designs, please don't hesitate to contact me. So thank you so much, and now I will give voice to Monica and Judith and see if we have any questions.
Thank you for this beautiful presentation part, Izabela, and giving so much inspiration on where to look at and showcasing some of the backgrounds. This is really amazing. Searching through the chat, I just saw that Vera said that she heard about a challenge of 30 days with only 30 items. This is something like the capsule collection approach, sort of, right? So if all of you that are still here have heard of this, so that goes in the direction to give you the challenge. And if every time if you enter something like that and you try something new, this takes you right away back to what Monica has said, because every time you create a new experience in your behavior, the perception that you have about that and the new experience you make creates a new belief in your brain. And then, so if you find these kind of things, go for them, try them, just do something. There's lots of other things. If you don't want to go for 30 days, if there's something like a week, I don't know, but try it, because this creates new connections up here and that makes change easier for you.
A+, Judith, A+.
That is what I do in my coaching also. So I loved that, what you were pointing out, because it's just so true. And searching through the chat a little bit more, there's lots of answers, a couple of them of your questions, Izabela, that you put in. Equal respect among 3 species was, I think, an answer for your question in regards to sustainability. So thank you for putting all your answers here. Then power set made to last. Fashion is art we interact with, from Gina. So I think the other ones is what we had. So do you have any more questions? Right now, I don't see any other, but if I missed something, then please, it's your chance to hit it now. We're all here for you. So if you have a question for any of us in particular, please do so. Or if you want to comment on something, then you're absolutely invited to do so. Girl, do you want to add anything?
Well, I'm looking at actually at what Rosaura said. Fashion is consumist, and actually just made me think like it's exactly what fast fashion is, because this is exactly the definition of fast fashion, and it's really so accurate. I would say slow fashion is exactly opposite to that. Yes, this is not about consumism.
Okay.
I see that we do not have questions. So as we are already after the time, maybe we will close like this. And just in case you will have questions, you can also write them under the YouTube channel tomorrow when this event will be up. Then we can always answer the questions there, or you can contact us all directly. We will also share our contacts in S1 Word event. I am very happy to see attendees here. I know it's Wednesday evening, summer, so I really appreciate every one of you.
For your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. And Rosemary, thank you very much.
Oh, so
Thank
nice.
you so much. We really appreciate it. It's really nice to hear that. And thank you. And just maybe some of you who stayed, let us know if you would like to still have some events in the future about sustainability, because I know it's not a very popular subject, but I think we at least we 3 think it's extremely important subject. So just maybe if you can write yes or no, that would be great indication for us whether we should do something or not. There's not many attendees left, but
definitely.
Definitely. Yay!
Yes, coming on in. Thank you. Yes. Serena. Yes, please.
Wonderful. So with this amazing positive accent, we will finish this event. And again, we are wishing you a wonderful evening, and we hope that you have some nice takeaways from our speeches.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.